Hello and welcome to Warcraft Daily for today the 28th of May 2013. In today's news we have a really interesting developer interview with Ghostcrawler, that was done by WoW Insider, and a whole bunch of blue posts and tweets which are actually pretty interesting in themselves. Overall I think it's a pretty good day for news. So on to the interview. Now the first thing that they talked about was the future of the game. So Ghostcrawler said that there's an unannounced feature in 5.4. Now I'll be honest, I really don't have any idea what this could or could not be, so I'm not going to speculate much, but it does seem quite interesting. They're adding quite a few features and different things into the game, and what I find to be very interesting is that it's not like feature bloat, it's not ridiculous. Like, as a good example of that, say Assassin's Creed 3, where there are so many features that players just didn't bother with any of them. I think Warcraft's striking a really good balance. Next thing he said was that Barons was an attempt to bring players back into the world, and I think this has worked very well. Maybe not for my main PvE character, I really just do it once a week for the Valor points, but for leveling up your alts and stuff, I think it's pretty good fun. They did well. They also said that appearing offline is in the works. This is really, really good, because sometimes you just want to go on, you don't want to bother with people, so that's cool. They also said that all professions will have a catch-up mechanic. Now, I'd be interested to see how this works in terms of mats for crafting professions, that kind of thing, and what that'll do to the economy of the game, but it could be interesting. Of course, they haven't said anything solid yet, so whatever. They've also said that leveling could have rewards aside from talents, which really cool. Actually, I like this. I don't know what it would be, perhaps you get like a bag in the mail every time you level something, whatever. But I think it's pretty good, and keeping players fed with exciting little, oh, I got something. That's a good way to keep games fun and interesting. The next thing he talked about was dungeons and raids. So he said the 25-man feels more epic, and that weaker players are less damaging to the raid as a whole. And the 25 can fall back to 10 if they lose players, whereas a 10-player group will just fall apart. It'll be, you don't have enough players. Go to 5-mans. They said the fights are much harder now than they used to be in terms of mechanics, which, if you ever are soloing and you go back to like Molten Core or something, it's actually quite surprising how mechanically simple a lot of the fights were. I think as vanilla and BC sort of went on, though, they definitely did get more complex, and we're at the stage where players kind of know the basic, how to play their class and stuff, so they need to make the game challenging and interesting through the use of mechanics, which I think it's good. We're getting to the stage where bosses are actually, they're quite fun. You're not just sitting there face rolling for 10 minutes to get the health bar to 0. And finally, actually not finally, sorry, that was silly, and he said that in LFR that they would like the idea of, say, debuffing a player for standing in the fire. This is really interesting because what it does is it punishes the player's damage for standing in the fire, but it doesn't punish the healers. So the healers aren't getting punished for someone else's mistake. Now, as like a lot of people know, healing is really, really not fun in LFR because you have to deal with idiots standing in the fire, stuff like that. So I think it's a pretty cool idea from him. I hope they implement it more. So yes, awesome. He also said that raids have a longer lifespan than 5-man since they're 1 a week. It's fair enough, pretty obvious. And that the team is growing to the point where they could soon do a Throne of Thunder sized raid and 2 5-mans. Now, of course, they were able to do this in the past with, say, ICC, but it took them a very long time. What the key thing to take away from this is that the development team that are doing the main content patches, they will, in whatever, say 6, 5, whatever month period between major content patches, so 5.0, 5.2, 5.4, that in that time they'll be able to do quite a lot of content, which is quite exciting to me, and I think will really help invigorate the game and keep people interested. And finally they said that one of the reasons why it's harder to make the 5-mans is that players expect new art, that kind of thing, so it makes it more time consuming, and I guess fair enough, but at the end of the day I'd still like more 5-mans, please. Wow, I really have this thing saying finally. Some other things, they said that capping things is a challenge, so like Valor or Conquest, that kind of thing. Because if it's uncapped, players will just keep on going, and they'll burn out. If the cap's too high, people think like they're obligated to get a certain amount to be optimal, so they'll burn out. It's like it's a job. So I think, to be honest, it's pretty good the way it is now. But capping is definitely a challenge, but I think it's needed as a part of designing an MMO. And finally, for the interview, actually I'm doing the finally right this time, some little things about 5.3 and the changes in that. So the experience nerf was because they think that things slow down quite a lot when you hit Jade Forest. Totally right. I think mop leveling is absolutely diabolical. I enjoy it actually less than any of the current leveling. I've just leveled through BC, and I still just cannot face Pandaria leveling. I don't know what it is. Something about it just makes me want to grind my fingernails off with a rusty spoon. And the final thing in the interview is that he said that doing bad in PvP to grind the honor was not fun, and that's kind of what PvE geared people had to do previously. But it's good now, it's a bit less ridiculous, and we'll keep on the PvP talk in Blue Posts, which we're moving on to now. So the Blue said that they are happy with the current PvE gear in PvP situation. You're not going to do that well, let's be honest, that's a fact, but players, you're not going to do as well as PvP geared people, but it's not ridiculous. You could melt PvE geared people in PvE in patch 5.2, absolutely melt. That's not a thing anymore. It's far more balanced, and even just the less bursty nature of PvP, I think, is making things better. And the final interesting blue toast. Yeah, kids, people, ladies and gentlemen, don't eat blue toast. Blue post. The final blue post was about heroic scenarios, and they said that the loot wasn't meant to be best in slot or even close. A lot of people have been complaining that there's non-optimal stats, non-optimal gems, the heads don't have a meta, but they said this is really just a stopgap to increase your item level to help you get into more LFRs and, just get better overall. And yeah, I just think, whatever, that's fair enough. Last thing we have to cover is tweets, and there's just a few of them, lots of class ones. I'll put them on the screen in a minute. They said they want to prune buttons, and the quote is, "It will cause many favourites to go away. All I can say is if they take away my rapid fire, which they were talking about a while ago, I'll be friggin' sad." And the last thing they said was that the over-reliance on tank swapping is hard to fix, because the old mechanic was that tanks would soak a cleave. Now, really, tanks didn't like that, so it's hard really. What do you do with tanks? Their job is just to get something to attack them. How do you make that gameplay interesting? It's a very hard challenge. And finally we have the class tweets. If you want to read them, just pause now, you'll see them full screen. Or of course head over to MMO Champion, WoWhead News, WoW Insider, blah blah blah. All those different places you can find the stuff. That's it for this show. If you liked the video, please do hit that like button because it really helps out. If you have anything you want to say in response, leave it in the comments. I'm always, I respond to nearly everybody, so if you want to chat, I'm cool with that, and subscribe if you want more. That's it for today's episode. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. See you guys next time.